Alrighty, so we've got that done. And the next one, we're going to work on the other violin now. Okay, if you remember, we taped that off and stained it. It looks like it did bleed through a little bit. So we'll try and scrape that off a little bit. Okay, so now we've got that done. So I think we're going to try and scrape that down a little. Should have a small scraper here somewhere. Okay, I'll find it and be right back. Well, here we are back again. We're gonna do try and finish sealing this cheap violin. And remember on the last video I glued this rib here in the bout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape that glue off. I've got a small scraper here and find the sharp side here, and then I'm just going to scrape this down, try and okay, we're going to try a different scraper. That's not very sharp. Okay, so we're going to go with a curved one here. We're pretty sharp there, so we're going to just scrape some of that glue off. If we don't get the glue off the top, it's going to not let the shellac soak in. Be able to see it open some more. Well, it looks like we're going to have to put a little more glue on there. So get as much glue off as I can. We don't really want to have to take it apart. There. Okay, so we got that scraped down not too bad here. A couple spots yet. As you can see, we scraped the glue off, but we got one little spot right here. It's still broken. So we need to get some glue in there. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, because we have to heat the glue up and make sure we have, try and do 2 or 3 things at the same time. So we'll just put that one aside. Okay, so back to this other one here. This is the top. And remember, we glued on some cleats. We're going to take the clamps off. These cleats are covering the going across the crack. There was a crack right here. So we tried to push a little bit of glue in the crack and then put the cleat on. And it actually extended a little bit in here. So, okay, so what we're going to do is kind of smooth them out with a chisel. You don't want them too big, but you don't want them too small that they're not going to hold anything. Just pare them down a little bit. It helps if you have a very, very sharp chisel. This one's starting to get a little bit dull. Should probably touch it up a little bit. Okay, and we're going to just taper that end down so it's flush on the very end with the top. You don't want too much weight in there. It can kill the sound. Okay, so we're going to chisel the side off a little bit. Then you're going to turn around, do the other way, the other side. So here we go, we're going to just kind of chisel that down, flatten it out a little bit. If it's too thin, it's not going to hold anything, so you want to be able to hold that crack. Very carefully. Just a little bit there, and then we're going to chisel down on the end. Try and get as flush as I can with the top. And then we're going to just kind of chisel the side out a bit. And that's not too bad there. Okay, so now we're just going to continue and do the others like that. And I'll be back. Okay, so what I did was I scraped it down. I have a sharp scraper, and I got as close as I could to the fingerboard, scraped it, and then sanded it a little bit. It's not too bad, so I'm going to just leave it the way it is. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to stain the body and the head, the curl, the box, the peg box, and everything. And to do that, we're going to use shellac, just plain shellac. Some places you can get different colors. This is sort of a lighter color. I prefer the darker the better, but can't always find it here in Canada, so at least not in the boonies where I live. So anyway, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to mix it with denatured alcohol or methyl hydrate. So this is just plain old methyl hydrate that you use for gasoline antifreeze, and we're going to mix it 5 parts alcohol to 3 parts of shellac. Okay, so we'll find a little mixing jug. I have here a little measuring cup, and I will measure it out. And then we're going to give it about, maybe about 4 coats, maybe more, we'll see. And we're going to seal this wood before we put any stain. We'll see what it turns out like. If it's a nice color, then we'll maybe leave it with the shellac and then just put a clear on top. So, okay, so I'll be right back. Alrighty, so we're going to stir up the shellac. I got all my stuff here. I've got a little mixing bowl here and my methyl hydrate, and we just mix this shellac up really good. Now it's kind of a light brown, very, very liquidy. Okay, so let's put that down there. So this I'm going to measure out in milliliters. So we're going to go 50 milliliters. This is going to be tricky. Okay, so we've got about 20 there. chips. Another 20. Another 10. Okay. And we're going to go methyl hydrate. We want 30. So if we'll fill this right up to the top, that's 30. Okay. I'm going to put the lid back on, because we know what happened to the stain. Okay, and lid back on this. Okay, so now we're going to mix that up a little bit. And if you can see it, it's kind of a light brown. So it probably won't make a very nice finish on here for a final finish, so we're going to end up staining it. So we're just going to use one of those towels. And we're going to just rub this on as much as we can. Far under there. And do the whole top to the edges. This dries really fast, so by the time you're done putting it on, it's probably dried. Start all over again. Okay, so now I'm going to do the edge. Oh, I forgot to glue this. Okay, so we're going to just finishing a little bit here. Now I am going to seal this neck too, because what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of clear on there, possibly like an oil. I just remembered I had a little spot on this cutout here that's cracked, broken, so we're going to try and glue that up. My glue should still be hot. And I'm not going to worry about, I got some spots on here, but I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of the head here. So what we're doing is sealing this, so when we do stain, the stain's not going to sink in. So what happens if we get a lot of finish on it, really thick, it actually hinders the wood from vibrating, creating sound. So you'll actually get a better sound. Okay, so we're going to just fix that this up a little bit. Now I think I checked this already. Okay, so we're going to use the glue. And it's still pretty liquidy, so if you can see, I got a little piece that's busted here. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on there. So the glue's gotten a little thicker here, so okay, gonna try and spread it in the crack. Okay, and then have, this is a sound post setter. So I'm going to stick that in there. I'm going to just push it up there. I got a pointy end here. Okay, so we're gonna just, maybe we'll just do a couple more coats here. Now I got it all mixed up, but that's okay. We'll do a few more coats here. We'll leave that piece. You don't have to use a towel. You can see the towel is kind of starting to rip apart, but you don't need to use a towel. You can use a piece of terry cloth or just a cloth. I find wiping it on like this does a much better job. Once again, it dries really fast, so you kind of want to make sure it's smooth. So probably going to put a really dark stain on here. The dark stain tends to cover up imperfections a lot easier. If I was refinishing the other one, I would probably do a lighter stain on it. We're just going to go back over this. We're going to put lots on here. I mean, not a problem. We can go back and do that little part. I think I'm going to do the board too here. Give it a coat or two just to seal it off. Oh, what's going on here? The stain comes off with alcohol. I did not know that. Okay. I'm going to get another rag here. I did not know that. Okay, so we're going to wipe some of this off. Interesting. Well, you learn something every day. Okay, now I've got stain everywhere. Okay, I'm going to just clean off. I'm going to take off this. And this one. And I'm going to put a couple more fresh ones on here. Move this out of the way. So I just want to tell you that these violins that I'm redoing are not really expensive violins. Maybe some of the Luthers out there that redo violins are going to shudder when I do some of this, but remember, I'm just trying to make them play again, because these are probably would never be repaired, and I'm just trying to bring them back to life. Maybe some kid will like it, wants to take lessons or whatever, and can't afford it. Can't afford a violin, a new one, or whatever. So this just kind of helps them get started. Even if the child stays at it for a year or two, you never know, because that child might go back to it later in life and pick it up again. You never know, that the child might be a concert violinist. You never know. Or he could be a country violinist in a band or whatever. You don't know. So we're gonna put another one on here, and then I'm gonna let it dry. And let that glue dry, and I'll probably scrape that off after it's dried. So that's about it for that. Okay, as you can see, it's darkened it quite a bit. So, but that'll seal it, and it won't allow the stain to penetrate too far, and clear coat. So, okay, so we're going to hang this up and let it dry. Okay, and that'll be probably it for today, and we'll be back next time with some more work on probably both of them. The other one should be dry by then. I'm going to let it dry overnight, make sure they're good and dry, and then I'll fix the cleats. I'll take the chisel, smooth them down, and yeah, we'll see what happens.